Talk to me. Tell me what you want, baby. Tell me what you love. Tryna get back to you.
Welcome to Just Talks with Justice, where we provide a safe space and a safe platform for survivors to come and share their stories. Today's guest has endured the unimaginable, serving time for a crime that he did not commit. Serving 28 years, a long 28 years in prison, he has endured so many challenges and he's faced adversity. And today he's here to share his story. Take a seat, like, subscribe, and comment if this video meant something to you or inspired you in any way. Without further ado, Warren Henson. All right, so Warren, how are you today?
I'm actually doing pretty good today, thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
a good day to have a good day.
How you feeling?
I feel great. I feel amazing.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So before we even get started into the questions, I just have to say that I really believe that this connection was meant to be. I was telling you earlier that I first saw your art and I didn't even know who you were. It was about a month ago. Me and my sister, we went to go support one of my friends, Boy. She's a spoken word artist, and she was performing at Sycamore and Oak. And so me and my sister went to go support her. And my sister literally pointed out your painting and you. And so we were looking and we were just admiring your work from afar. And mind you, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know your story. I didn't know anything about you. But we admired your work. And then about 2 weeks later, I posted a flyer about me interviewing survivors, and you reached out. And when I seen it, I'm like looking on your Instagram, I'm like, I've seen him and his work before. Like, I was trying to figure it out, and then it dawned on me that I saw you at the Art All Night event. And so after I made the connection, I was like, yeah, this is going to be my first interview back, because I just feel like it was meant to be. So I just want to say that I am very honored that you trusted me to be able to, talk to you about your story, because I know, when you have a story, everybody can't tell it for you, and people can't, you have to be able to really trust and feel a certain comfortability and a connection when you're sharing your story with people. So I just am honored that I'm here with you today, and we get to dig a little bit deep into who you are and some of the different things that you faced. So the first question is, just tell me who you are. Who are you? Where are you from? Give me a little bit about who you are.
First of all, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. I'm from the Philippines. I was born in the Philippines. I'm 49 years old. I was born in 1974. Came here when I was 6 months old, and grew up in the DMV area. So originally grew up in Virginia. Well, I moved to Virginia when I was 11 years old, and I was there for 4 years. And during those 4 years, it was a part of Virginia where there was no other Filipinos around. It was just white and black. So I grew up really just trying to find myself. Always felt like an outsider. Never felt like I belonged. And even in Maryland, when I came out of Maryland, being around other Filipinos, to them I was like an outsider to them. To them I was a country boy from Virginia. So my whole life I just never fit in. But through my journey I found myself, and I hope that comes across in this interview, right? I believe it will. I do trust you, and I've seen the work you do, right? So I feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And I'm an artist. I'm a poet. I work with youth in D.C., troubled youth. So I try to align myself and do things that I'm passionate about. And creating is one, and also working with a lot of youngins that could possibly go down the path that I went down.
Yeah.
Try to help them not go down that path. So that's my mission. That's the work I do.
Awesome. And I love that you're doing work and giving back to incarcerated youth, and, just putting in that work because you've been there. So you're a credible messenger.
Right.
I love that because you are credible. You've been there. So it gives you an upper hand to be able to help other people who might be going down that same path. And so this show is all about surviving and survivors. So what does a survivor mean to you? What does being a survivor mean to you?
I believe, to me, being a survivor means like you went through something that was out of your hand, and it was traumatic,
Yeah.
and it could really define you, or you can look at it and not let it define you in a negative way. You can look at it and you can use it to inspire others.
Yeah.
Like, I know so many people personally that went through hell, like mental hell. They went through abuse physically, mentally, spiritually, sexually, whatever, right? They just went through so much. And to me, a survivor is somebody that got through it, and they didn't let it break them. They didn't let it defeat them. They didn't let it define them. They let it propel them to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's what a survivor is to me. And I do believe I'm a survivor. I went through hell,
Yeah.
right? Prison is not like a cakewalk for anybody.
Yeah.
And I know for me, being a Filipino and 17 years old in a man's prison, like, we had to grow up quick. So we survived. I survived, and that's that.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. I love your definition of what a survivor means to you. And you're right. It's somebody who overcame the obstacles that they were faced with. And so just give us a little bit of background on how, like, what was the process for you before you went to prison? Like, what led up to that? Can you just give us a little bit about, like, what led you to prison?
I know when I was in Virginia, I always wanted to be an artist, right?
Okay.
No matter what I was doing, playing sports, riding skateboards, whatever, my passion, like my love was to draw, right? So in school in Virginia, I had a teacher named Miss Ransone that really encouraged me to pursue art after high school. She was telling me about art schools that I could apply for, which they didn't have scholarships for, but I could actually try to go to art school, and that was my dream, to go to art school. And when I talked to my father, when I asked him about it, he didn't want me to go to art school. He went to the military, he went that route, and he was like, if you want to go to college, go to the military.
Yeah.
And that was nowhere like I didn't see that in my future. I didn't see that. So it caused a big rift between me and my father, to the point where he was like, just go live with your mother. So I went March 91, I moved to PG County, right, in Fort Washington, Oxon Hill area. And to somebody that came from Virginia, that was fast for me.
Yeah.
I guess people that grew up out here, Fort Washington, Oxon Hill, might be kind of not as tough and not as hard for a lot of the youth growing up in this area. But for somebody coming from where I came from, Virginia, it was really fast. And going to the Gwynn Park High School in PG County, where they had like 1,400 students, it was a culture shock for me growing up in Virginia, where we only had 400 students in our school.
Yeah.
So it was like a really, really, really big school. I was lost, like, didn't connect with anybody. Again, like, the Filipinos didn't look at me like I was Filipino. They looked at me like I was a country boy. And that led me to basically not want to go to school. So after a couple weeks of school, I was just in the streets, met some other Filipinos that was doing a lot of dirt, right? And started to impress. I wanted to impress them, so I was doing everything that they was doing, but going 10 times harder.
To fit in, yeah.
Right. So I went March 91, June 91 is when I caught my case.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if you want me to get into that now, but I definitely was involved in a burglary, right? And I got shot. I got hit with a 12 gauge point blank. And when I woke up in a hospital, Southern Maryland Hospital, being arrested for murder.
Wow.
And unbeknownst to me at the time, after I got shot, the victim, John Milton Branch, lost his life, right? And I was arrested for murder. And I'm telling everybody, well, listen, I didn't kill anyone. I didn't kill anyone. But they had a law. They have a law called felony murder. If you with someone in the commission of a felony, you're just as guilty as the trigger man if someone loses their life. So even if when I got shot, if I died, my co-defendant would have had 2 murders. He would have had my murder and the victim's murder.
Oh, my
Right.
goodness.
That's how the law works. It's an antiquated law. I go down to Annapolis often, like every year, try to help change those laws. But yeah, that's a part of my journey. And I did all those years for something that I didn't do.
Wow. You know, just to hear that is just, it breaks my heart, honestly, because we've all been 17 before. We've all made dumb mistakes and dumb decisions and wrong crowd and wrong people. And so just to know like one wrong mistake could change the whole trajectory of your life, your entire life for years to come. It's very sad. And so I kind of just want to get into like, what were your emotions? What were your thoughts at that time? You're 17, you were involved in something crazy, you got shot. Like, what was your initial reaction when you heard like that somebody died and that you were being charged for murder? Like, what was going on in your head?
I think at that age I was a little arrogant. I was a little hard-headed. So I feel that when they was arresting me for murder, I was like, first I didn't kill anyone, and like I'm not going to get found guilty of this. I was real ignorant to the laws.
Yeah.
Right. And even when I went through the whole process of being arrested, they transferred me from Southern Maryland to Prince George's Hospital, and they had a jail wing. So when I was sitting in the jail wing, it wasn't real to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't real to me. Even going through when I finally came out of the hospital, going into Upper Marlboro, the county jail, it still wasn't real. Like I didn't kill anyone, so it's impossible for me to be doing the time that a lot of people were saying I was going to get.
Yeah.
Even the first lawyer that my mother and father hired, it was like one of the best lawyers in Maryland at the time, Joe Valerio, the father, and he told me on the first visit, he said, "You're going to get a life sentence." So I ended the visit right there, called my mother, I said, "Fire him now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want him. He talking about I'm going to get life." But, because I'm still looking at it like, how can I get life? I didn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
But that's the whole way they get you. It's like, there was so many youth, so many people, period, that's in the Maryland system that have life sentences that didn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
That happened to be with somebody, and they might say, "Yeah, I was there," not thinking you're going to get charged with murder. Boom, you get hit with murder charge.
Yeah.
Right? So, to me, it was like, it still wasn't real, even up to the time where I was found guilty and I was being sentenced. I'm like, he going to give me I said, I'm going to get 5 years. I'm probably come home with 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I was so ignorant to even learn about the laws.
Yeah.
Right? I'm thinking, I didn't kill anyone, I'm going to be okay. But when they hit me with that natural life plus 5 year sentence, the judge was like, "I know you may have some remorse because the victim's family lost a loved one." He said, "But I got news for you. Your family's losing a loved one because you're going to prison for the rest of your natural life." And I was a 17-year-old kid, so I'm like, how can this man send me to prison for life for something I didn't do? But he was really handcuffed. The judge was even handcuffed. He couldn't do anything because that's the law.
Yeah.
You know, and hopefully things will happen where they'll get that law off the books. Because I know even to this day, people are getting arrested and they getting charged and convicted with stuff they didn't do just for being with somebody.
So when the judge sentenced you to natural life, was it real for you at that moment, or when did everything like finally like kick in and like you was like, "Oh my God, like this is really happening"? Was it at that moment, or did it happen later on?
Nah, when that judge sentenced me to life, I came back to when I came back to the jail, I guess like a lot of people in the unit already got the word that I got a life sentence. Like, so it was real quiet. A lot of youngers was coming to my cell. They was like, "Man, you okay? You okay?" And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm not okay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like really gonna be doing some time, right? And I think that was one thing because they transfer you to another unit to wait for you to get transferred to Baltimore City. They got a spot called DOC. That's the Diagnostic Center. That's where they go in there. They do all these tests on you, do all these evaluations on you, do all these assessments to try to figure out what jail they're gonna send you to.
Okay.
But for me, with my sentence, I only had 2 jails to go to: either the penitentiary in Baltimore City or the MHC Annex, Maryland House of Corrections Annex in Jessup. And when I went to DOC and they did all the assessments and everything, they told me I was going to go to the penitentiary right next door in Baltimore City, right? And that's when I was like thinking about all the movies I saw, all the TV shows I saw. I'm like, man, I'm not going home. I'm gonna kill somebody and I'm gonna get killed. That's all I'm thinking. Like, cause I'm not letting nobody do nothing to me. I'm not letting nobody disrespecting me. Like, I'm gonna end up like right away hurting somebody. And I remember telling an old head that in DOC, in the Diagnostic Center, and he said, man, he said the penitentiary is nothing but young guys your age in there. I didn't believe him. He said they got teenagers in there, right?
And this is a prison.
Yeah, it's the big house, the Maryland Penitentiary. We call it Castle Gray School. It's like people go in there and never get out.
Wow.
Right?
And you said it was kids younger than you that were there.
There was 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds in there. In population, well, the 13-year-olds wasn't, but 14 and up. You in population, you around people with death penalty. Everybody got life. Like, they got hundreds of years. People in the 4 years I was there, maybe 2 people went home.
Wow.
Like, nobody went home. Like, you was sitting there to die.
Wow.
Right? Like, that's basically what it was.
Wow. Yeah, that's sad. Because in my head, like when I envision prison, I've never been to prison before, but when I think about it just based off like movies and just, we've kind of been conditioned to have a view, or we think that we know like what something's like until we actually are there personally. Do you remember what your first night was like when you was there?
Definitely. I remember like yesterday. I remember when I went into the penitentiary, you enter through the hospital area, and the officer that was sitting at the desk, he looked at me, and the first thing he said, man, how old are you? And I was like, I'm 17 years old. I was like 5'5", 130 pounds, no hair on my face, just like a little baby, right? And he asked me, did I want to go on PC, which is protective custody? And I was like, nah, I'm not going on no PC. Like, young ego and all that stuff. I'm like, ain't no bitch. But I went in population. He said, all right, your cell is A block 242, right? And I asked him, where's it at? He said, figure it out.
Oh my God.
So I got my little box and go in the yard. It was during a time where it was March 13th, 1992, Friday 13th. I remember. But nobody was in the yard at the time. So you see the baseball field, the football field, the basketball courts, you see all the buildings. And I'm like asking every correctional officer I see, every CO I see, I'm like, where's A block? So they pointing, and it's all the way at the end of the compound. And when I walked in, everybody was on what they call flats. It's the area at the bottom where they got card tables, they got telephones, they got the TVs, people working out. And like when I walked into the flats, it's like a movie, like everything just stopped. Everybody stopped what they was doing, and they looked at me. And I know they was just in shock seeing me as I was seeing them. And I heard somebody say, man, they locking Chinese people up, man. We all in trouble, right? Jokingly. And everybody laughed and they went on about their business. People just doing whatever they was doing. But I remember being so scared. I remember just being like, man, like this is some real stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I go to the officer, they tell me my cell again. I get in my cell and there's a white guy in the cell and he's like, my name is Stretch. First thing I said to him, like, how you doing? I said, man, I'm trying to get a knife, right? I need a knife. So he told me somebody that, like, they want 10 pack of cigarettes or something. So I went and got the cigarettes, and I got me a knife. And I walked around every day with my fist balled up, wouldn't speak to nobody. I wouldn't let nobody speak to me, and I wouldn't speak to nobody. Like, people, man, what's your name? I wouldn't say nothing. Like, I just walked around with my fist balled up, If I ain't have my knife in my dip, I had it in a bucket. 'Cause we walk
Yeah.
around with buckets where you have your little shower grip, everything.
Yeah.
You put in a bucket. So I just remember just being so scared. But I think that
Yeah.
energy I had walking around, I think people looked at me like, man, if he locked up with a life sentence, he must be crazy. He must be wild or whatever,
Yeah.
right? But I didn't have no problems. Like
Yeah.
I think once I realized outside of that A block, they had a school, they had colleges. You had Coppin State, you had B Triple, Baltimore City Community College. You had that in there. You had a boxing gym. You had a library. You had a lot of stuff going on in
Yeah.
there, programs, and
That's awesome, because I was going to ask you about that. Like, with it being 14, 15-year-olds and you being 17, like, did they offer, college or school or credit? So that's awesome that they have, different types of programs
right.
that you can benefit from.
Yeah, I went to I didn't have a diploma at the time, so I went to GED school.
Okay.
And a lot of the men that was in the prison, like, they took us, all as young as under the wings, took us to the gym, the boxing, they had boxing teams. We would go in there work out, but one of the things that they would say, then they had sports, people play basketball league, football league, but they said if you don't go to school, you're not gonna be involved in none of the stuff, right? So they gave us an incentive to go to school, get our GED, to go to college.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to Coppin State when Bill Clinton took the Pell Grant. When Clinton took the Pell Grant, they cut all the college programs out. Mm-hmm. Then I was just a youngin' in a joint with nothing to do.
Yeah.
Right. So that kind of crushed everything at that time.
Wow. Were there any other inmates that may have been older that kind of like took some of the younger guys under their wings, or like try to, show you the way, show you the ropes? Like, did you have anybody like that, like in your corner, that kind of like helped you out while you were there?
Yeah, there was a guy named Mujahid. He was a Muslim guy. And I remember I just got in a fight. I was fighting at breakfast time with this Puerto Rican guy named Chico. He accused me of stealing his bandana, all the things. I had a black bandana on at breakfast. And he was like, man, that's mine. And started a big argument. So we got in this fight. I won the fight. Won the fight, let me put that out there. But went on lockup after I did my 60 days on lockup, came off, and that's when Mujahid was like, just because it's the end, just because you got a life sentence don't mean it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like he said, man, you can do a lot of stuff. And he was the one that was telling me about a lot of the stuff, right? But I realized later on that you got to grow up. Like, you can't be that kid anymore. You can't be that teenager anymore. You can't be wild, because in there, you got to face the men, right? So not just him, there was many men that I say raised me, right, that taught me how to be a man. And they gave me the ability, as I grew in the system, to start raising a lot of young coming in to be men also. So that was a big part of my incarceration. But it was ugly. Had bad times in there, had good times in there, but
Yeah.
I made it.
Yeah, you did. You did. So I kind of want to get into that. Like, how did you make it? Like, what are some of the things? Like, how did you maintain hope and resilience through your time there? Like, how was your mental? What things or what people were pouring into you positively to like help shift your mindset like in a positive way?
I think early in my incarceration, when they had the college programs, I had a lot of hope, because I seen a lot of men graduate from Coppin State, going to get their degrees, and in the prison they was doing some great work, right? And so I said, okay, I gotta go. My goal was to get my GED, go on to college, get a degree, and who knows, I can go home and do something with it, right?
Yeah.
I can probably get my time cut, but I think when I was in there, like when they took the college program out, I lost hope. I got a job in a sewing shop. I was working every day, but I lost hope. Like, I'm looking at it like, man, I'm not going home, because I thought if I graduate from college, I can go back to the judge and be like, look, this is what I've been doing. Like, I got my GED, going to college, blah, blah, blah. But when they cut that out, I'm like, damn, what can I go in front of the judge with then.
Yeah.
So in '95 they shut the penitentiary down. They kind of like there was an incident that happened where they shut the jail down. All the lifers they sent us to Jessup at the Maryland House of Corrections Annex, and this was a fairly new prison. It probably was only open like 4 or 5 years at the time, but that jail didn't have nothing. There was no programs, no school. They had like a trailer, a small little trailer. It was a library. So when we went in there, it was like I was going backwards, right? If that makes sense. Like they didn't have nothing. So it got to the point where it's survival.
Yeah.
Everybody, like so many people was getting stabbed up. So many people was getting killed. So many officers were getting attacked and killed. It was like, it was hell.
Yeah.
We was there was riots. Like we was locked down for like 6 months. They cut the water off for like a couple weeks. In our cells, they didn't feed us anything. Like they was really trying to break us in there. Like they were trying to crush us. Like I fought my cell buddy, and so for like 2 or 3 months, I'm sharing a cell with a man, but we ain't even speaking to each other because we just fought over some dumb stuff, right? And it was crazy. But I think to answer your question, how I got through it, you get in a routine, right? It's like you wake up, you work out, you come back, you take your shower, you might go to work, you go on to work for 6, 7, 8 hours, you come back, go in the day room, get on the phone, you call your family, and you go back in your cell, you watch TV till you go to sleep and start again. And you get in that routine where the days turn to weeks, the weeks turn to months.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, years done passed. 5 years done passed, 10 years done passed, 15, and so on. So it's like, it goes so fast you don't even realize it. But you wake up, you've been in prison over 20 years, and it's like, man, what's going on? But that's that routine.
Yeah.
But I always felt that somehow, some way I was gonna make it home one day.
Yeah. And you did.
That's right.
And you're here.
That's right.
And you're on Just Talks with Justice.
That's right.
Sharing your story for thousands of people, millions of people to see.
That's right.
And so, yep, you're here.
Thank you.
I do have a question. I'm really curious because to say that I'm sorry for what you had to go through would really be an understatement. How do you think your experience shaped your perception of like the criminal justice system?
That's a great question. I could have easily came home and just went on my life, just got a job and worked and told nobody about my story, or just didn't even care anymore.
Yeah.
But I built a lot of friendships in there, right, with a lot of men that I believe, no matter what they did in their past, don't belong to be in there still.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it shaped me to the point where when I came home, one of the first things I did was connect with my lawyer, Erica Suter, and asked her, just if I can help in any way, let me know.
Yeah.
So when she reached out to me one day and she said she was going to Annapolis to speak on a bill, one was to try to get the governor out of the process of the parole process for lifers, because the governor had to sign your paperwork. Like I went down there, I put my suit on, went down there and spoke in front of all the delegates at the legislation, and eventually it took a couple years, but we got that passed.
Wow.
The governor don't have to sign people's papers anymore. The parole board can parole you, and you can go, right? When I went, I had 5 parole hearings myself.
Okay.
And each one, they wanted to give me parole, and the last one, they actually gave me parole. But the ones prior to my last one, they was like, we don't want to give it to you because the governor's going to deny it. The governor's going to deny it.
Yeah.
And my last one, they gave it to me. I got a unanimous decision from the parole board to be released, but the governor did not sign the papers. Larry Hogan wouldn't sign it, so I still had to do more time. And I told myself and I told my family, I'm not doing no more parole hearings. I'm doing my sentence to the door. I'm gonna max it out because I'm not getting their hopes up anymore. I'm not doing none of that. And I finally, after my 28th year, I'm here. So, but still to this day, very active in trying to help change laws
Yeah.
so people don't got to do all these time.
Yeah. How did your sentence get reduced, and what was that process like, and how long did that process take? So I know you said you went through 5 parole hearings, and then on the last one, it was granted. But what was that process like? Was it a lot of like interviews? Was it a lot of like, how did you find your lawyer? One, and then just like, what was that process, and how long did that process take?
Well, when I first was convicted, you have an appeal, right?
Okay.
And called a direct appeal. And I had a public defender at that time. So the public defender, he 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 filed my appeal, but it was denied. So when it was denied, my trial lawyer told me that I still have what they call a reconsideration on in court.
Okay.
And it was on step docket, meaning whenever I'm ready to actually go for the reconsideration, we just got to file some paperwork. So we went to go hire Fred Bennett. At the time, he was the best lawyer in Maryland. He got a lot of people home, right? So Fred said, wait till you have 10 years in. He said, once you have 10 years in, the judge probably will do something for you.
Okay.
He said, but make sure you don't get any dirty ons. Make sure you don't get anything violent. Like, just keep your head above water and just stay out of trouble, right?
Yeah.
So, June 2001, I had 10 years in. Called the lawyer. He took my case. October 2001, I got my sentence reduced from natural life plus 5 years to life suspended, all but 38 years. So the life was suspended to 38 years, and I still had to file for the gun. So in total, I had now 43 years sentence.
Okay.
Right. And but it's life suspended in 43. So just during that process, I still had parole hearings, I had everything. So I was still staying out of trouble, still making sure that I was doing everything that I was supposed to do for each parole hearing. And each parole hearing, they was shutting the door in my face, but still I was staying positive.
Yeah.
I stayed hopeful, right, and had faith that I was gonna make it out. So even when I got my time cut to 43 years, when I'm doing the math, I'm like, man, I had 10 years in. I'm still gonna have to do between 16 and 18 more years,
Yeah.
right? So I knew I had a long journey. So the struggle still continued, and I was still looking for ways to get out. And we hired Erica Suter initially to get me home through a drug program, right?
Okay.
And that didn't work out. The judge I had wasn't trying to give me any rhythm, right? So from then on, it was just like, you know what? I'm the parole hearing. Yeah, Erica Suter also represented me on my last parole hearing when the governor denied it, and I was just like, I'm not doing it no more. I'm just gonna max it out. So it was a lot of
Yeah.
process trying to get home, court hearings, parole hearings, and people just shutting the door in your face. Like
Yeah.
then you seeing other guys like getting denied, people that you know that don't deserve to be in there 20, 30, 40 years. Like nothing happening for them. I could have easily broke. I could have easily said, you know, I give up. Like I'm just gonna just do this time and whatever happened. But
Yeah.
like I stayed positive, stayed programming, staying being a positive influence on the young guys in there. And September 24th, 2019, I came home. Like my mother picked me up, my father was there, my brother was there, picked me up. So it was a blessing.
That's beautiful. So I know that that day was very memorable for you. But before we get into life after prison, I kind of just wanted to touch on and just ask about like, what type of things were you doing in prison to help you? Like, what type of activities? Or I know that you were still doing your art. Like, what was that like in prison?
I think I really didn't get back into my art in prison until maybe 99, about
Okay.
2009. I mean 1999. But as for activities, you know, at one point I just thought I was too slick to play any sports, but I started getting into sports. I played football, I played soccer. we actually, football, we got to I played cornerback and safety, and we got to like one play away from winning the championship one year. And we always had a good team, but at soccer, I played goalie. In every prison I was in during my incarceration, I was the best goalie in the jail. And people was really like paying me to play goalie for them.
Wow.
Like I played with the Spanish team.
Okay.
Like all the different Latinos in the team, like they in the jail. I played with them, won a couple championships, and played with Jamaicans, right?
Oh, wow.
Like we just beat the Jamaicans, so they ended up coming to get me, and we was dominant. We was Prophet United, that was the name of our team, and we won multiple championships. And
That's
like,
lit.
if anybody say that I wasn't the best goalie, they lying. But yeah, I played a lot of sports, boxed also. We did a lot of training with boxing.
Mm-hmm.
But when I met this dude, Robert Farmer, he had his cell. It was 1999. I got transferred to the Maryland House of Corrections, right? And when I was in there, I walked by a cell, and normally people have a TV, radio, they got all that in their cell. But Farmer,
They had TVs in the cells?
yeah, Maryland. Now they got Xboxes and
Oh,
PlayStation.
my gosh.
But back then, you know, all we had was a TV, radio, yeah, your fan. But this guy in particular, he didn't have a TV or radio in his cell. He had an easel. He had a canvas up on the easel that he was painting, that he was working on. But his cell looked like this gallery here.
Wow.
He had some of the most beautiful, amazing artwork hanging around his cell.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And it reminded me when I was young, which drew me to art in the first place was my trip to National Gallery of Art and seeing paintings in the gallery, right? And I knew at that moment I wanted to be an artist. And during my incarceration, when I seen this guy's cell, I was like, man, I want to do that again.
Yeah.
And for years, I hadn't thought about drawing,
Yeah.
thought about painting anything. I was just trying to survive prison. So when I met Farmer, I said, man, I want to learn to do that. So he said, if you meet me in the library every day at 1 o'clock, he said, I'll teach you. So every day at 1 o'clock, I was there. And he had me drawing styrofoam cups. Like he would throw it on the table, however it fall. He would flash a light on it so you could see the light and the shadow. And he would just like draw it. And I was doing that for weeks.
Wow.
Graduated to doing fruit, like apples and oranges and stuff like that. Went from pencil to pastels. And he was getting ready to teach me how to paint. But he ended up going home.
Okay.
Right. So Farmer was a blessing to me because after he left, I was looking for another person to teach me how to paint. And artists are funny. Artists are like, they got some ways about them. A lot of them, like, if you try to get any information out of one of them, like, they keep it close to their vest. They don't want to share with anybody.
Gatekeepers.
Yeah, the gatekeepers.
I hate gatekeepers.
Exactly. So finally, I was like, man, I'm gonna learn on my own. I got my paints and got my brushes. You know, in prison, you allowed to get that stuff as long as it's not toxic. You can't get oil paints, but you can get acrylics.
Okay.
You can get pastels. You can get stuff like that. But I started painting. I was painting on. I would take the sheets that we had, the prison sheets, and I would paint them white with like wall paint, and just paint on top of that. And once I felt that I was getting somewhere with it, I said, I'm about to hustle, right? And I started doing portraits for the men in the prison. They might come to me, I want to paint on my mom, I want to paint on my girlfriend, or paint on my kid, and they would pay me. I was charging just $200 to $300 to do portraits for the men in there.
Wow.
To the point where I started making money, and I got lawyer money. Like I was sending money home to my family instead of asking for money orders, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that gave me a purpose. That gave me something to look forward to every day. And finally, I met this guy named Sane, Daryl Pratt. I knew him for years, but he kind of talked to the woman. Her name was Sergeant Lynn. She ran the VAC area, Volunteer Activity Coordinator. She ran that area, and he asked her, "Can I start coming up to his studio and painting there?" And this was at Jessup Correctional Institution, and she gave me permission. He ended up getting transferred. So for the next 10 years, it was my studio.
Wow.
Like I was painting, I was doing murals around the prison. I was painting. I started applying for shows. Wow. While I was incarcerated, I got a show at Maryland Institute College of Art. a solo show, and I got a group show in D.C. at Touchstone Gallery.
Wow.
And so I said, when I come home, I'm gonna push my art. I'm gonna do my thing, and
Yeah.
that's what I plan to do when I came home. Right?
Yes.
So
I love it. And
thank
here
you.
we are sitting at Culture Art Gallery in front of one of your amazing pieces. And I think now is a perfect time to just thank Culture Gallery for allowing us to do the interview here. The owner, was very nice and just was with whatever we needed. And so I'm just super thankful. We're going to actually do a walk around so you guys can see. But we are at a gallery, and it's a beautiful. It's located in Waldorf, Maryland. I'm going to put the link below, so if you guys want to come and check out the art in person, or if you would like to purchase any other pieces here at the gallery, it's here for you. So, yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about life after prison. So your dad, your brother, everybody came to get you. What was your first 6 months like outside of prison as a free man?
My first 6 months, I came home September 24th, 2019. 6 months later was the start of COVID, right?
Wow.
So, but those first 5-6 months, it was a struggle. Because one, I had to prove my citizenship. I couldn't even get an ID. I was walking around with my jail ID, right? I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't get a license. But so it was a lot of time and energy and money spent to prove my citizenship. I think it was all a money grab personally, because
Yeah.
the question I asked was, if I was not a citizen, why would they have released me? I would have been deported, right? Had a driver's license before I went to prison. They didn't have no record of it, right? Their records only go back 11 years. So it was tough. I was working at Ruby Tuesday in Clinton, right? Because when I was on work release, I was at Ruby Tuesday in Columbia.
Okay.
So they transferred over here, and I was doing that and was getting ready to be a manager there. And COVID hit. And I was a server at the time, and they laid us off.
Wow.
Right? We got laid off, but I wasn't, I was in prison all those years. I'm not going to just sit back and collect unemployment. I want to go out there. I want to work.
Yeah.
So I got a job at a car dealership, Global Auto Outlet in Temple Hills, worked that, then went to Waldorf Honda here, was working that, but I knew that I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life working at a car dealership.
Yeah.
Because I never thought about it before. It was just something to do. I made a lot of money working at a dealership, but I wanted to do something that aligned with my spirit, with my purpose. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to make any excuses anymore, because at first I was saying I wasn't pursuing my art because of my ID situation, and then I wasn't pursuing it because of the COVID shut the world down. But when things started opening back up, I was like, you know what? I'm not making any excuses anymore. I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, one of the places I came first was here and met Wayne, the owner of Culture
Wow.
Gallery, and had a nice conversation with him. He inspired me, to really just do what I do.
Yeah.
And eventually, he let me put some art in here.
Yeah. Would
Right.
you say that art changed your life?
Oh, art changed my life many times.
Yeah.
Like when I was 11 years old, when I was in prison, and when I came home. Like once I seen how people started taking to the art that I was creating, like I really knew that I was doing something right.
Yeah.
Cause it's real. I know I'm inspired by seeing other people's work, not just painting and sculptures and stuff like that, but artists that write. I'm a spoken word artist too, so when I hear other people's poems, it pumps me up. When I see people do the work like you do, like the videographers do, like just anything that's creative,
Yeah.
it gives me energy. Anything that's creative inspires me. So
That's awesome. How would you categorize your art?
I think I got different styles.
Okay.
Like the art that grabbed my attention when I was young was abstract art. It was a piece by the artist Jackson Pollock.
Okay.
It was just a bunch of paint splattered on the canvas. I didn't know it at the time, but it emitted an energy that I was drawn to. Like just seeing all this paint thrown on the canvas, it was something that really inspired me to do a lot of abstract art. But in prison, for my hustle, I started doing portraits, right? So I became a portrait artist and got away from doing abstract art. But I think since I've been home, I've dabbled in a couple of different styles.
Yeah.
I even went like a sort of Basquiat style at one time.
Okay.
Right, and I still got a lot of those paintings, sold a lot of them, but still have some of them. But now I think I'm in my lane, right? I'm doing my abstract work that's behind the portraits, but I'm doing the portraits on top of it. So I kind of put it all together.
Yeah.
I want to, like this painting right here is called Joy, right? And my last couple collections revolved around love. Love is an action word, and love is the only truth. That was my last two collections. But this right here is called Joy, and what I wanted it to present was, like, with the abstract, there's a lot of chaos going on, but also there's a lot of order. But I do want, like, the innocence of that child to show, because I was that innocent child before a lot of the traumas happened in my life.
Yeah.
So when I see that, I want people to just to see that no matter what you go through, you can tap into that joy and that love that you got within you.
Yeah.
So
I love that, and I love this piece. Do you have a favorite piece or project? Like, what would be your, like, if you had to just pick one piece of artwork that's your ultimate favorite, what would it be?
well, my favorite in this collection is in this gallery also. It's in the back there. But as for my favorite all-time piece, I actually sold it recently,
Okay.
and I'm kind of sad about that. Right.
Why did you sell it? And I actually do want to take our viewers around to go look at the piece. Actually, we can do that now.
Sure.
So we have this one. This is actually the piece that you was working on when I first seen you, and I didn't know who you was. So what inspired this?
Well, I actually painted this one live for Auto Night in Sycamore and Oak, and it was just part of my collection. But I didn't want to do the big smiley face like I do on a lot of the pictures that I drew. So I just found this picture in it, and it spoke to me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to put my twist on it, and I wanted people to see me work live, where from the beginning and end. It's the first time I ever painted live before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was kind of nervous.
Oh, nice.
But I think once I got into that zone, like, I felt like I was just in my studio. I felt like I was just painting by myself, and I had a great time. I met a lot of great people that night.
Yeah.
Made a lot of good connections. So it was
Yeah.
something that I want to do again, and I am on November 18th. I'm gonna be painting live, because they changing Good Hope Road to Marionberry. I don't know if it's Way or Avenue. I can't
Okay.
remember, but during that event on November 18th, I'm gonna be painting live at Far Southeast, the nonprofit.
Wow. That's going to be beautiful. I'm going to definitely try to come and support you.
Thank you.
So how long does something like this usually take? I know you did this live, but when you're in your studio, when you're really in your zone, like, how long does this process take?
I think like once I do the background, I do the abstract part, with the acrylics. Acrylics dry pretty fast.
Okay.
Like, it only takes a few minutes to dry, but once you put layer after layer after layer, it take a little longer. So once that first part is done and it cures totally, that's when I'll get the oil pastels and I'll just draw, just like I
Yeah.
drew with pencils when I was young, right? So I draw with the oil pastels, and I could finish a portrait in a couple hours. Like, it's just the whole waiting for the back part to dry.
Okay.
And then but after everything is dry, I have to put some varnish on it, because oil pastels never dry on its own.
Okay.
So
Okay. Take me over here to your favorite.
this is my favorite right here. Like, I don't know why I say it's my favorite, but I think it's the colors and just his face, right? It reminds me of me when I was young. Like, I was just your whole future ahead of you.
Yeah.
And this child right here, like, you don't know which way he's gonna go, but you do know that at this point right here, he's happy.
Yeah.
At this point right here, full of joy. So that's my favorite one right here.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
How do you think your art has evolved over time?
I try to do art right now that has meaning to it. Like one time I just draw whatever I see, just how I feel. But now I feel I want to get a message across.
Yeah.
Right. I want to tell my story through whatever I'm doing. I want to tell other people's stories. Right. And of course I want to do something that's real beautiful, real nice. But I wanted to have balance. I wanted to have just a lot of. I wanted just to emit some good energy. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you definitely are doing the work, and it's definitely the message that you're trying to, I feel like, put across through your art is coming out. Like, that's what I see. When I look at this, I see, like, a kid. He's happy. He's joyful. And you're right. Like, he has his whole life ahead of him. I can see it in his eyes. So what you're striving to do, you are doing that. And so
Thank you.
I'm just happy to know you. When I get my house, I'm going to be hitting you up for
That's
some
right.
artwork.
That's right.
Be like, Warren, what you doing?
Just let me know.
So you guys, again, this is the Culture Gallery in Waldorf, Maryland. This is just one of the many places where Warren has some of his art. Warren, where else can people find your art, where people can find you? And just tell the people, like, where they can find you.
I also have some artwork currently at Gallery 505 in Portsmouth. I think it's pronounced Portsmouth, Virginia.
Okay.
I have a couple pieces in there, and I'm talking to a couple other galleries in D.C. You can find me on Instagram. It's just my name. I don't have any like crazy Instagram handle. It's Warren Henson, WarrenHynson, and my website the same thing, warrenhenson.com. So you can see some more of my paintings in there, some of my old work, some of my work that's sold already, and I'm gonna update it soon to have a lot of my newest work on there. I'm just gonna keep creating, keep on doing my thing. I know December 7th we have a show in DC called Art on the Rise. We don't have the location yet that I know of, but we should get the location soon. It's gonna be like 5 artists. We're gonna have a lot of paintings on display. It's going to be a big event, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that Good Hope Road thing, and I'm going to apply for some more shows.
Yes.
Get some more shows.
Yes, well, this interview was amazing.
Thank you.
It was awesome, getting to hear some of your story and just to see where you are now today. And you're doing everything that you need to do. I feel like, to give back to the youth. You work with incarcerated youth. You're a case manager. And so you're doing all of these amazing, beautiful things. And it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Definitely reach out to Warren if you have any art needs, if you need any art, and we look forward to seeing you guys again.
I want to add one thing.
Okay.
My man John from Dub Empire is doing a documentary on me.
Mm-hmm.
So in the future, look for that, like Unbreakable.
Yes.
Definitely, so
Awesome.
that's going to be coming out.
I love it. I'm excited to see it too.
Thank you.
When are you guys expecting it for it to be done?
We plan on finishing before the year's out.
Okay.
So
Okay. Nice.
man gonna work his magic. That's right.
And another shout out to Dub Empire, who's behind the camera today. So we just want to give a huge shout out to him and for all of the amazing work that he's doing. He came here last minute, and so we just appreciate him and all the work that he's doing as well. And so until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.
Talk to me. Talk to me. Come here, talk to me.